Spartan Nation, what's going on? This is Ken, the super cool Spartan. My brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. Our homie Quafo, the super connected Spartan, is doing big things, traveling on the road somewhere in the United States. I know it's been a minute since you've seen us back in the airwaves. Right, he's keeping some big secrets somewhere. But I know it's been a minute, so we've been back on these airwaves here. So we're coming back at you live with our first edition of the basketball podcast here. So we're trying something new, with the podcast here. It's primarily from the football coverage from a fan's perspective, but this time around, we're putting our best Spartan foot forward, doing a basketball podcast with the IZZONE. So let's get right into it. Mr. Super Mad Spartan, really not much to be mad about. I mean,
no, I know during the near the end of the football season, we briefly touched on basketball. We kind of gave some quick thoughts and just some opinions from seeing the some of the exhibitions and scrimmages, and it left some things to be desired. Just looking at the team.
Yeah.
But you know what? Tom Izzo, he knew what he was talking about. Said he liked the team. He said that they're the most together he's been with the squad, and they have the chemistry, and they're going to show some people some things. You know what they did? At first, I'm not going to lie, I didn't think they could continue to play the way they were.
Said it looked a little shaky coming out the gate.
Yes, because we're so scarred. We have high expectations for Spartan basketball. We used to Final Fours every few years, being in the conversation as for championships, and we haven't been that. We've had years we barely technically made the tournament. We get last four in and lost. I think that was like the lowest point, for basketball in probably since I've been watching. And it's been 20 plus years. So it started off shaky because I watched the exhibition game and said, then you saw Northern Michigan, like, okay, it's Northern Michigan. Then they played Kansas, and it was a tough watch. It was just bricks all over the place.
It was. And what's so funny is that as football fans, when we come out of the football season, particularly when the season is down for football, we always look to the IZZONE to pick us back up. Most of the years have been good. Some years have been, like you were saying. But this is one of those years that is like, wow, it's been a really, enjoy to watch, just looking at right now, MSU's current record. What'd you say?
That's the word, enjoyable to watch. Because even when sometimes we were winning, it wasn't always pretty to watch. It was like, we won. It wasn't pretty, but we played. This has been, you watch the team, it's enjoyable basketball, even when they go through the lows. Yeah. You already have the fit up, and they're going to pick it up and put this game away. Right.
And I was going to say that right now, MSU's overall record is 22-5. Conference record is 13-3, currently number one in the Big Ten. They just
technically right now we're one game behind because Michigan played Nebraska last night and they won. So technically it'd be one game ahead of us or half game. I don't know. But if we win tomorrow, we play tomorrow, Maryland?
We're at Maryland tomorrow.
At Maryland. Tough ask, but win that game, right back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, currently ranked number 8. And it's funny because when, like you said, looking at Kansas, when we played against Kansas in the Champions Classic, there was a lot of heat that came out. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about, does MSU deserve to be in the Champions Classic, and why are they still in it? Should it be replaced by another team? And it's a strange fortune because I just saw yesterday on ESPN that Kansas is not even ranked anymore. I mean, if you're one who loves the rankings, all that, to me, rankings really don't mean anything. But if you're into that stuff, Kansas is no longer ranked, and that's an odd thing to see because they've always been.
Now. It's not just them.
So, but yeah, it's a strange fortune. Just looking at Kansas and Michigan State right now compared to where we first started when the season hit. Now it's like, wow. I mean, it's enjoyable to watch.
Yes, the team is you saw them grow because Kansas, you can still see them trying to find themselves. And there's always these questions with the team, like who's going to be the number one go-to guy, who's going to be this, who's going to be that. And the answer is nobody and everybody.
Right.
At different points of the game, there's always somebody who steps up and makes the plays. And you've seen them all grow in that confidence. And now, if you probably just get into, the strengths of the team, the strength of the team is their depth.
Yeah.
They're rolling out 10 above solid players every time. And I think that's what gives Michigan State their biggest advantage over teams is, hey, yeah, your starting 5 can take our starting 5, but can your 10 compare to our 10?
Right.
And then they're so good defensively, especially the 4 guards, Fears, Holloman, Jace. Jace is our star player now. That's emerged finally.
Yeah.
And Akins. All dogs on the defensive side of the court. You can say whatever you want about offense. On defense, there's dogs. All 4 of them.
Yeah.
And they give guards hell. They've been putting backcourts in jail.
Yes. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And what's been really impressive about the team is this current run, the streak of wins they've had, starting with at Illinois. And that was coming off a loss at Indiana. And that was a weird loss.
Not at Indiana, it was at Breslin.
Yeah, at Breslin. I'm sorry, at Breslin. At Breslin. Yeah, they lost at home to Indiana.
Stinker.
But they came back on the road at Illinois, came from behind to beat them by, 14, 15 points. Then they come back home against Purdue, put Purdue in the third. And MSU has had mad struggles with Purdue going back like 3-4 years.
Since, I think it was 2022 or something like that, 3 years.
Yeah, the whole Zach Edey era pretty much. But they put Purdue in the dirt. Then the biggest bomb that was dropped.
I have to, since you mentioned Zach Edey, I'm going to have to put that Mia Couple on there. I was such a Zach Edey hater. I was like, nah, he's going to be a bum in the NBA. He's not that good. Shut me the hell up. He's real good in the NBA. Way more athletic than I thought. So I take back all the Zach Edey slander I've ever said.
Shout out to Zach Edey. But yeah, after we beat down Purdue at the Breslin, you know what happened after that? We rolling up to the Chrysler Arena, boy.
Yeah, they was ready.
Yeah. You went to Chrysler Arena.
I'm not gonna hate too much on. They're a good basketball team. They Wolf and Golden are some dudes. But again, I just feel like this is me, green shades on. If you're not beating Michigan State, if you're playing our best brand of basketball, you are not beating them unless you get hot from the 3 and we play like crap. Most teams in the country can't compete with Michigan State's depth.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just listening to some of the, people out there just, all right, the minute spread. Nobody's played over 20 minutes. Well, no one's playing 20, 25 minutes. Everybody's got to get equal shares. But it's justified now. So I saw a thing with plus minus of like the 10, 11 players who play. Not a negative overall for the year for anybody. For 11 players, all pluses. So state is so multiple. They match up with so many teams now. And, you mentioned on here, we got the bigs everybody was kind of weird about. Was Apollo, like, okay, this guy, we wanted some big name from the transfer portal, and we got this guy who was just playing. Well, Izzo looked like it worked out. We got all we need is a solid bigs, and we got solid bigs from Cooper and Zapala. Kohler's come on.
Yeah.
We're finally starting to see some of that money walk Kohler in fruition. He's a dog out there on the boards. And so it's just, if you're not playing solid basketball 10 deep and you're not controlling the pace, it's going to be a hard time for you beating Michigan State for playing our game, because they run teams out the gym in the second half. They did it to Michigan. They got tired.
Oh, yeah.
You can see.
Oh, yeah.
Goldman, is tired. He had to keep coming out the game in that second half, and they were feeding the post and he was scoring. But okay, how many times are you gonna do that?
Right.
You'll get tired. And they've been playing. Izzo has done that same thing whereas Michigan for so many years now. They did it with at least the Dwight Howard years. Well, he's gonna run your big. Cool. You have a better big guy. All right, we're gonna run all day and see where he's at. And now they can do it with fresh bodies. The squad is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and of course, and what helped was Holloman pretty much blowing the game out the water with those back-to-back threes.
It's the second time he's done it this year. He's going a 9-0 run in like a minute and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great thing to see. And I went to a game watch with MSU Black Alumni Detroit chapter, U of M Black Alumni Detroit chapter. They hosted a game watch for that game. And of course, MSU started out really hot. Then they got cold somewhat like halfway through the first half. And, all the Michigan fans, in the house, they were cheering and roaring and whatnot. And we came back kind of within 4, going into halftime. But pretty much the second half was dominated by us.
Yeah, especially that last 10 minutes, the second half. I kind of feel like they just gave the Cobra surrender that last minute of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and all those offensive rebounds we got to.
We've seen a loss being up 10 with a minute left. And I'm like, yeah, it's not over. We haven't been up 10 yet. I think we're up like 7. And then they got things like 3 straight offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
And then Michigan was like, that's it. We're done. Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, Dusty May, a.k.a. Captain Kirk, he had to call the white flag, said, you know what? It ain't happening today, boys. Welcome to the rivalry.
Hey, they all found out. It matters. I know we juxtapose this to kind of like football, how, Jonathan Smith kind of admitted after the game, like, well, I knew about the rivalry, I understood, but now I've experienced it. Okay, a little bit different. I think Dusty May might have gotten to the same thing. Like, it's intense here. State is built from people around here have ties to the university. So it's always going to be the game, basketball, football, soccer, tennis, hockey.
Right.
Whatever.
Badminton.
You're going to get up for it.
Equestrian. Yes.
They had a spades thing. We'd be,
Ooh,
cutting up over spades.
Oh, man. Yeah, boy. If MSU and Michigan had a spades tournament, ooh, that would be nasty. You might have to have security up in that bad boy, because you know how it is when you're playing spades. Yes, it'll be super heated. Super heated. But yeah, they've been on a very impressive run. I mean, overall, yes, but just like this past, I'll say 2 weeks with these last 3 games. And, like I said,
The funniest though to me has to be Illinois, because that game is so cathartic. Just because we played at the Breslin, their star player gets into foul trouble and they lose the game. Immediately, the coach and the fan base is just whining after the game about officials and refereeing. Coach goes as far as to say that, he only played 9 minutes and he was dicing us up. And then you go and lose at home to the team you talked all that junk about, citing the refs, saying that you had all your people, and just stunk it up. And that team's in free fall right now because they just got, well, I was going to say something off kilter, but yeah, Duke put them out there pretty tough. I think it was like a 40-point loss.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing for Illinois. You took that L, to Michigan State at home, and then you turn around, go to New York, and lose by, 50, 51 points or something like that. Like, somewhat demoralizing.
After that game, it couldn't happen to a better fan base.
Yeah. And, usually MSU and Illinois split when they play twice during the basketball season. They usually split because I think of all the teams that Tom Izzo has played throughout his tenure, I think he has, he swept them this year. But MSU and Illinois has been kind of like neck and neck in terms of wins and losses against each other. Now, Izzo, like I said, he probably has the slight edge because he swept Illinois in the, in this year. But
they've been good they've been good for a while.
Yeah, Illinois has been one of those, they've been one of those more top tier teams in the conference. But like you said, all that whining, and look what happens. So
it starts from the coach. You got to stop whining. And just to be clear, everybody knows the Big Ten refs suck. They're not good. Oh my God,
yes.
You're going to get, everybody is going to get at a minimum one BS foul call. Usually it's 2. So you can't go out there committing dumb fouls because they're going to give you 2 ridiculous fouls.
Right.
That's just how it is. And it's frustrating and infuriating to watch as a fan, but it's been like this since I've been watching Big Ten basketball.
Forever. I mean, there's a reason why Izzo's about to have a heart attack damn near on the sideline when he sees some of those calls.
They're so egregious.
Swinging.
Like, what are we even doing?
Yeah.
If they can't get out of bounds right, fouls, no fouls. It's so inconsistent. And I always make a joke like, there's only 2 halves, but there's 4 quarters for the refs. Because every 10 minutes, they're switching up how they calling the fouls and how they're calling the game.
Yep.
It's either battle royale, no fouls, or everything's a foul, and then you breathe on somebody. And it's ridiculous. But anyway, Michigan State has overcome it.
Yes, they have. Now, I do have, because we talked about this, over the weekend. 2 concerns I do have about the basketball team moving forward. I'll say just for the conversation, the tournament, once you get into March Madness. One is if we come across a team that has better bigs, and I'm just basing this off of the losses that we had, like against Indiana at home and then UCLA. That USC game was a little wonky, I think, but UCLA and Indiana, though they're bigs, we had some problems, with those bigs. So that concerns me going to the tournament, depending on who the draw is and who you have to play. And then if we get into a situation where we get into this, struggling shooting the ball, because there are times where MSU, regardless of who's on the court, just shots ain't falling. And, in the tournament, you can't afford to have shots not falling because that will get you out the game in a one and done setting. So those are the 2 concerns that I have, moving forward. But to your point, that's something they probably could overcome, with their depth, because like you said, if they could just consistently,
Yes.
put bodies out there to wear teams down, then yeah, that's MSU's advantage.
And I agree with you about some of the, I guess, issues or perceived weaknesses. Um, with the bigs, they lost to Kansas because they couldn't shoot. And Hunter Dickinson, he owned our bigs that night. With the only thing that because I talk about this with my little brother-in-law, I asked him, what do you think about Michigan State? I said, I think my ceiling for them is, I think they could be a Final Four team, but that has to break correctly. But with there's not too many teams that's going to play back to the basket bigs and trying to, just punish us on the inside. Now, we might not have the most athletic guys there, but I think collectively they have a high, good basketball IQ.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps. But to your point, yeah, we could get to a team that can just dominate us in the center. And if we're not shooting well that day, it could be bad. Because if they're just getting too easy, we just go in our cold slumps and it gets the second part of our 3-point shooting has not been great. Now, versus Michigan, it came alive. I think they were 9 for 22, which is like the best it's been in a minute. I think I saw a stat yesterday, something like when Michigan State makes 7 threes and only lost one game this year. So it's weird because I don't think some of the people are bad shooters. It's just not falling. Shots just aren't falling from the outside. But at least one person gets semi-hot, and we just need a couple of threes to help us out. Usually Jason's a pretty good. He's probably the best 3-point shooter percentage-wise on the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Holloman's kind of streaky, but as you can see, he can hit 3 in a row, get us there. Mm-hmm. Aikens, he's been struggling from 3. I feel like if this team would really go to the next level, if he can really hit that mid-range jumper that he has, he used to hit it more consistently, but the last few games just hasn't been falling. Now, if he can hit that, okay, we can do some things. But 3-point shot is definitely probably our biggest weakness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing, too, I think, is, and this may not be a concern, but, coming across a team that, has hot shooters in the tournament, I'm just kind of forecasting.
That's anybody, though.
That's
anybody can get beat by a hot shoot night.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, too, since, our guard, we have the great defense. So I think MSU's really good on the perimeter. I think they're really good. Well, I'll say really good. I think they're just about great when it comes to perimeter defense. I think they're one of the top teams
in the nation, top 10, top 15.
So yeah, those are my concerns, once we get into the postseason of college basketball. But, they could be just minor because, the tournament, it's becoming more and more unpredictable. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Even teams that are getting talked about right now, like the Auburns and the Houstons and Duke, they look good right now, but you just don't know when you get into.
Let's be clear, Ken. They look good. There are a few teams I think State would probably wouldn't beat. It was like you just named 2, like Duke, Auburn, Alabama, like some of the teams that are ranked ahead of them. Mm-hmm. I know we're ranked 8 right now, but some of those teams, like, I don't think we just don't match up well across the board. And I know we have good defense. I'm not saying we're gonna get blown out. I'm just saying it'll be tough. Some of those teams presents some things that we don't do very. I don't think we'd have a problem with, like an athletic wing and a big. That could really give State some problems. Somebody who can kind of,
mm-hmm.
All right. So for instance, I think Michigan's a good team, and Danny Wolf is the archetype of how you could really hurt Michigan State, because we do have our guards. They're not the biggest guards in the world. So if you have big guards and they can post up on our perimeter players and try to get them in different spots, that could really hurt Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to go in here and make it seem like, oh, no team can beat us. Like, no, we're beatable. It's just I don't think a majority of the teams in the college basketball can be as consistent as Michigan State is and draw the amount of guys they can. You're not. It's hard, especially in the transfer portal era, where these people don't really know each other. They don't have that chemistry. They have great chemistry, and guys who play for each other who are not concerned about their minutes because they're gonna. If you play well, you're gonna play.
Right.
And he's been playing. Everybody's pretty much consistent. Hey, all right. So we all had higher expectations for Frankie Fitler. Thought he'd be the third kind of scorer. He's not that. But when he comes in off the bench and he's having one of his nights and he's doing this thing, all right, Frank, go out there and do it. We need a big perimeter guy. You go out there and get a few buckets. That's what we need. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He's not complaining about minutes. You know, we switched up the start lineup a couple of times. You know, Jace. No, who was starting? We are starting. Before we started starting 3 guards. I can't remember the lineup. But anyway, Holloman moved to the starting lineup, and then we had Holloman with Akins and Fears. All right, Jason started to come along. He's our best offensive player. I think that's clear now.
Yeah, I think he's starting now, isn't he, Jace?
You said what now?
I think Jason's starting now.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of the best way to say that. Then Holloman goes to the bench so Jace can start because Jace is really emerging to be the go-to guy. He's our best offensive player, and I think the offense needs to run through him. And if people start trying to take it away, hey, you have other guys who can score. And if Akins ever gets it going, that's deadly. But yeah, the team is so selfish. You haven't heard any guys complaining. Holloman comes, he was a starter. He wasn't a starter, non-starter, but he's still an important part of the team. And he's getting big minutes because of it, and he should.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like it, man. I like where we're currently at, and especially coming from the football season that we had.
Yeah,
it's good to see. And this has been, he has been that beacon of enjoyment when, the years, the football team hasn't performed as well. Izzo says, okay, I got y'all, Spartan Nation. I got y'all. So this is one of those years. And yeah, it's great. It's great to watch. So anything else for you want to add to the table regarding, our first official basketball podcast, our Hoop Pod?
I just go through the remaining games and see where we're at because we're, basically tied for the Big Ten title, which you couldn't tell me State was going to be in the race at the end early this season.
I didn't see it either.
Nah, basically it's us in Michigan for the most part.
Yeah. So we have we're at Maryland tomorrow. Then we have I think it's at Maryland, then home for Wisconsin, then at Iowa. Then we end the season against Captain Kirk again, aka Dusty May at the Breslin Center.
Tough stretch because, 3 of those 4 teams are good. But, Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa's having a down year, but at Iowa can always be sticky. We saw that, was it 2 years ago? Last year? Yeah, 2 years ago, we lost that 10-point lead. And, God.
Yep.
Maryland's come along. I think at Maryland is going to be a very, very tough game. I feel like all the remaining games are going to be tough, but specifically at Maryland, they've been on a heater. They have their starting 5 is really good. Never know. Going on the road. We won 3 high intensity games in a row. Wisconsin, they were on fire. They just recently lost their look at 19-point lead.
Yeah, the Oregon at home.
But they've been good.
Yeah, that was.
I said
Iowa, that was odd
they're
to
kind
see.
of down, but going to Iowa was always going on the road in the Big Ten. Always can be sticky. And then we end with Michigan at the Breslin, which I would just try to pencil it in as we're going to beat them. But, they're a good squad. And I hope we already have everything already locked away so it could be a good day and just win the Big Ten title.
Mm-hmm.
And if we smack them again and win that is like the last, it comes out to like the last game and it's just Michigan State for the Big Ten title we win. Oh, that would be sweet too. But I
Mm-hmm.
would much rather just have it in the bag already.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah, at Maryland's tough. I mean, anytime that Michigan State plays at Maryland, yeah, that's always a tough venue to win at. And Wisconsin, yep, I mean that game is going to be tough because MSU Wisconsin historically has always played tough games. I'm glad it's at home. If it was away, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know, but I'm glad that game is at home for us. Yeah, I saw Iowa. I think it was there. It was like I had the game was like background. I think it was Oregon. They played at Iowa. I think it's maybe last week sometime. And I know Oregon ended up edging Iowa during that game. But yeah, regardless of Iowa's record, that's always been a tough venue to play in too. So these last 4 games definitely are not, gimme games. So I think that it'd be great if it means you can win all 4. I mean, I'm not going to say they will.
Sure. Run the table. And then win one game in the Big Ten tournament and just land where we land.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch down, these last 4 games. I think if we go 3-1, I think that should be enough to solidify the Big Ten title.
Yes, I agree with that.
So we'll see what happens. We know where the chips may fall, but Izzo definitely has this team, very focused because after they lost to Indiana, I didn't see them winning, the stretch of games they did win, 2 of those games on the road. Like that's very impressive. That's very impressive.
Agreed. I definitely thought after that Indiana loss, okay, Illinois, I know they've been kind of reeling, but there was a tough game before, in Breslin, and we got down big. We got down pretty big in Illinois.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of the fan bases in the Big Ten have been hating on Michigan State, saying we're a fraud team and we've had an easy schedule and that just the offense sucks and your front runners, Michigan board stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you get down by 10, you can come back. If they get down 16, they get down 14, you come back and win games. And it lets you know what type of team you really have.
Yeah, they win winning games.
Double digits.
Yeah, down by 15 and you win by 15. I don't say it earlier. Like what?
They have been mashing teams this year.
Yeah, they have.
Like completely just running through teams up to it. There was a time they were winning every game by 15, 20 points. And then they kind of had a tough little game versus Rutgers that kind of put them away and they've been handling business. Just very, very solid team. And you don't see too many just solid teams anymore, especially in college basketball, because, the transfer portal, some teams have new starting 5 every year. 4 new guys coming in. And I think you're seeing with Michigan State the opposite of, hey, it was like, we're going to build it the way I've always built it. And you're not going to get me to change. I know the fan base, I'm not, I'm included in this thing. And like, okay, I think it needs to switch up a little bit. Because I was definitely in the camp of, we need to bring in, a big time center because we get mashed on the boards. We haven't been, rebounding, haven't been doing these things well. And then when he just didn't bring in anybody, and then he brought in Zapala, I'm looking at the statistics, like, okay, I guess we just gotta trust Izzo, but okay. And you know what? No, he knew what he was doing.
Trust.
And Izzo we trust.
Right. And one other name I'll mention too before we move on is the kid Xavier Booker. He's had his flashes.
Yes.
Just coming in playing his role. He makes some big, threes, now and then. And I think it was in the Ohio State game where he had like a fast break and dunked it. Like, oh, okay.
He's really
see
you
you
get
big fella.
some glimpses. You get some glimpses of him, like, okay, if he ever puts it all together, he's gonna be special. But he has to put it all together. But he's all right, even that Michigan game, he hit a big bucket there. There was a Michigan they make their initial first half, they got a 16-0 run, they take the lead, they almost go by double digits. He comes down and hits a three just to kind of stop the bleeding. It's a big shot.
Right.
And we needed it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can get some more consistency out of him, because I think he's the future of the program.
Yeah.
We can get Jason to stay. I don't know this. I know his draft stock has to be going up, and I'm not going to hate on a young man going to get paid in the NBA. If it was me, I'd do it. I love Michigan State, but
I would too. I'd be just like his dad.
If he goes to them, it means he had a great season. That means Michigan State had a great season too then.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, one other thing I want to say, then we can move on. Speaking of, because I just thought of this, talking about freshmen. Max Christie, when he left MSU, people was thinking like, okay, all right. But he has developed to a pretty good player in the NBA.
You had to adjust coming into this new world of one and dones and players leaving early. It is what it is. He's wishing the best, and you can't hate on it. That's like if somebody came to your job and say, "Hey man, we could offer you a new job that's going to pay you 4 times more what you make." Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Goodbye. So I can't hate him. He got traded to the Mavs, and
yeah.
He looked like a very solid NBA player.
Yeah, he is. He is. So, shout out to Max Christie, man, doing his thing in the league, and all the other MSU hoopers out there doing their contributions to the NBA. Yeah, boy. All right, Brian, I'm gonna get you out of here on this, sir. During the football season, do our MSU fun football facts. Got a basketball fact here for you. See if I can see if I can stump you. Yes, see if I can stump you on this one here. So the question is, and this is multiple choice, by the way. So you don't have to just sit there and think for like 5 straight minutes, like So, who is the all-time leading scorer for the MSU basketball program? Is it 1, Sean Respert, 2, Cassius Winston, or 3, Kaylin Lucas? Yeah, I'll hum the Jeopardy song for you.
I want to say Sean Respert.
You
want choice 1. So, I think Cash is the all-time assist leader.
So you say Sean Respert?
Yes.
And the survey says, ding, 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 you got it right,
there it
sir.
Is. I know it wasn't Lucas. And look, Cash has the all-time assists, I think.
Yes. Sean Respert is the all-time leading scorer at Michigan State. Throughout his tenure, he scored 2,531 points.
Is that was that Fire and Ice? Him and Eric Snow?
Yeah, that was when I was at Michigan State. It was Fire and Ice. Yeah, they were Fire and Ice. Yes. Because when I was at MSU, Judd Hinkle was still the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
You know
still the
what's
coach
weird?
at MSU.
It was funny because, and then we can get off after this. Just thinking about when Izzo won his first championship, that seemed like such a long time ago from when I was, went to Michigan State. That was 2001, 2000. I go to state in 2004, so it was like we're not too far removed from the championship. But it seemed like it was such a long time ago. I guess when you're young, high school and middle school seems like a long time. I remember we watched that championship game together as a family.
Yep, we sure did. We sure did. And yeah, it's funny as you kind of look back to those times because again, Fire and Ice, Eric Snow, Sean Respert doing their thing when Judd Heathcote his twilight years, and then Izzo takes over in 95, I think. And then you just see, his comeuppance, all the way to where he's at now. So, but yeah, Sean Respert, shout out to Sean Respert. I think he did play in the NBA for a number of years. I think the last thing I heard about him that he was the AD for, I think, Rice University, which I think is in Texas. I don't know if he still is now, but that was the last thing I read about him. But yeah, man, woo, boy, he could shoot the rock. I mean, his range was ridiculous. I mean, he could do logo shots, Steph Curry-like shots. I mean, he had that range. So he was definitely a delight to watch. Now, unfortunately, when it came to the tournament, they really didn't go that far, but doing the
we on the bigger and better. We in the future now.
Yeah, I'm
claiming the Final Four this year. I think we're gonna make the Final Four. That's me in my, and then that's me in my green shaded glasses on. I think this is a Final Four team. Things have to break their way, but I really feel like this team's ceiling is the Final Four.
Chance to compete for the championship. Get no argument from me. So, well, we're just gonna sit back and watch it unfold. Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Spartan Nation. This is our wrap up here of our first ever Hoop podcast. Cue the Woodshed. Probably do some more soon as we get closer to March Madness, and gonna have some more hot stuff coming to you guys here in these. Well, I can't say winter months now because we're almost coming in the springtime.
Yeah, it was the spring.
So, yeah, then we're going to be talking about the spring games soon and going from there. But in the meantime, I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan, my brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. Shout out to our big homie, Quaffo, the super connected Spartan. He'll be on our next podcast. So go green, go white.